I'm a motivational speaker here in the Jacksonville area. Once upon a time, and as y'all know, once a Marine, always a Marine. But once upon a time, I wore a uniform every day. Once upon a time, long time ago, before the Marine Corps, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. A little before Marine Corps, I'm going to take you back to freshman. Look how many freshmen we got in the room. I'm going to tell you about my freshman year in high school. My freshman year in high school, I went out for the football team. Anybody play football then? I played on the football team. I know you know about up downs there, right? Okay, we was on the field.
He's the sub. Go ahead and give him paperwork.
All right. When I won the football team, and on the football team, one day we had tour days. This particular day on the football field, we were doing up downs. We did so many up downs that I couldn't feel my legs. I could barely feel my arms. And all I could think about in the back of my mind was quitting, giving up. I said in my mind, I had a number. And to this day, I still remember that number. That number was 5. I had it in my mind that I could only do 5 more up downs before I completely gave up. I was hoping in the back of my mind, I was hoping that the coach would stop practice somewhere in between there before I got to that 5. But he didn't. And as I started counting down in my mind, I got to the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and when it came to 1, I got off that field and walked off and quit. And that was a defining moment in my life. I walked off the field and I quit. And see, I talked to a teammate later on that day, and he asked me, Casey, why'd you quit? We only did a couple more up downs before a coach called the practice. You know why I quit? Because I didn't have it here. And I didn't have it here. It comes down to mental toughness. But see, on that day when I quit, I changed the course of my life. You see, when you do something, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, no matter what it is, it makes it easier to do the next time. And so just so happened, this time I quit. So the next time I quit, it became a little easier. The next time I quit, it became a little easier. Till it became to the point where I became a quitter. I became known as a failure. People began to talk about me as if I would never amount to nothing. And in my mind, I believed it. I believed that I would never amount to nothing. So I went through high school. I graduated, but just barely, because I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously. I was in ROTC just like you guys. I was in Army ROTC. But guess what? I didn't take it seriously. When it was time to dress out, I wouldn't take it seriously. I didn't wear that uniform with pride. Because people died for that uniform. People died to wear that uniform. So you have to wear, every time you put that uniform on, I want you to wear it with pride. Have respect for yourself, if nothing else. But definitely have respect for the uniform. But I had to learn that the hard way. Again, went through life, graduated high school. Had a couple buddies that I hung with. They didn't do much either, so we all fit together. But guess what? I started doing things I'm not proud of to this day. Started robbing people. Started stealing. But guess what? It became easier every time I did it. Until one day I became homeless, living in the back seat of a car. All my hope was gone. Hopeless. Anybody ever seen a penny with a hole in the middle? Hopeless. I was hopeless. I had no hope, no value for myself, no self-worth. Homelessness led me to Savannah, Georgia, where I found my cousin. And my cousin sat me down one day, and she looked at me. And to this day, nobody had ever looked at me like that. She looked at me like Gotha. Anybody ever heard of somebody named Gotha? Gotha said, don't look at a man the way he is. Look at him the way he should be. And he becomes what he could be. So I believe in greatness. That's why I'm here today. I believe everybody has greatness in them. And see, it took me a long time to figure it out. It took me a long time to figure out the greatness that we all have inside of us. But we have to only tap into that greatness. We all got to be able to tap into that greatness. The greatness that all of us have inside of us. Don't doubt it. Believe it. And when you start to believe it, believe me, you can achieve anything in this life that you want. But that day, my cousin sat me down, and she looked at me. She asked me a question that changed, again, the course of my life. So she went on the first name basis. She said, George, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? And I didn't have an answer for it. I was lost in this big old world, this cruel world. I was lost. I didn't have an answer. But I spit out the first thing that I knew. I said, well, I thought about going in the Marine Corps. I had a Marine Corps recruiter come and talk to me. I thought about it. And she looked at me again. She said, no, don't think about it. Do it. She said, you need some structure in your life. You need some discipline in your life. And I think Marines will be the ones to do it for you. So I said, okay, no problem. No problem. At the time, I had a warrant from her. I had to pay $300. I didn't have that kind of money on me. But my cousin wrote me out a check for $300. And she said, here, go pay those people, and you go in the Marine Corps and make something of your life. So that's what I did. When I got to Parris Island, anybody know what Parris Island is? I got to Parris Island, I stood on those yellow footprints. The moment I stood on those yellow footprints, I don't know what it is, but something changed inside of me. Something changed inside of me drastically. But I still had the initial PFT to tackle. Anybody know what IST is? Initial strength training. We had to run, do some pull-ups, and sit-ups. But the crunches and the pull-ups I had no problem with. I never had a problem with pull-ups and sit-ups. But that run, I tell you what, something about that run, I knew in the back of my head that run was going to give me some problems. And guess what? It did. I didn't get even probably a half a mile into the run. But I quit. I completely gave up once again. Why? Because by this time, quitting became easy to me. Quitting became easy to me. So they put me in what's called a PCP, physical conditioning platoon. And we call it pork chop platoon. Home of the fat body.
Fat body.
The people that can't hack it. That's what they put me. So I had to pass that initial strength test 2 times consecutively before I was able to get out of there. That night when I laid in my rack, I made up in my mind that I was going to do whatever it took. I met a drill instructor who, again, changed the course of my life. He told me something that will forever change my life. And this was after he told me, Casey, I'm going to bust your freaking heart. That's what he told me. I'm going to bust your freaking heart, Casey. And he lived up to it. But also he told me something else that would change my life. He said, Casey, let me tell you something. You remember this. Pain is only weakness leaving the body. Pain is only weakness leaving the body. So I began to believe this drill instructor. I began to put it in my mind to say, pain is only weakness leaving the body. Every time that I would fall back on the run after that point, my drill instructor would run behind me, Casey, you going back to PCP? You going back to PCP? No, sir. No, sir, not me. Not this recruit, sir. And I dug down deep and found that greatness that was inside of me. And I pushed. I pushed. It was some days that I would get in trouble on purpose, that we would sit around and do nothing. I would get in trouble on purpose. Just to challenge the drill instructor, just to challenge myself. And I let him take me over in the corner and work me out, just so I get that extra endurance. I did whatever it took. I did what I had to get what I wanted. And in the back of my mind, I wanted to be the United States Marine. I wanted to be a United States Marine. So I fought through 13 months or 13 weeks of hardcore training. Day in and day out, hardcore training. I was a diet recruit. That means no donuts, no extra chow. And I got in trouble because I tried to sneak a couple extra pieces of bacon a couple times, but my tray never looked like what the drill instructor wanted it to look like. So he made me go back to the back of the line. And by the time I got to the back of the line, chow was over because our guide was finished eating. Once the guide is done, everybody's done. Get out of here. So in many days I didn't even get to eat but a bite of an apple. Standing in line, waiting to throw my tray away. But I was willing to do whatever it took to be a United States Marine. I was away from my friends. I had to sacrifice something. There were plenty of days I laid in my rack and I said, I wonder what my boys on the block are doing. I didn't find out till later they were doing the same thing as when I left. I was in the right place for me at the right time doing the right thing for me. I had to get away from the crowd. How many leaders are in here? Everybody's hand should go up right now. How many leaders do we have in here? Leaders lead people. But in order to lead people, you first have to lead yourself. There's a guy named Thomas J. Watson. Thomas J. Watson said, nothing so conclusively proves a leader's ability to lead than what he does to lead himself. You have to be able to lead yourself. You have to know what you want in this lifetime. Know that it's going to be a sacrifice, a price you have to pay to be whatever you want to be in this life. Whether that means leaving your friends, whether it means stepping away from the crowd, whatever it takes, you got to be willing to do that for you. So many nights I laid in my rack wondering what my friends were doing, especially on New Year. I knew it was 12 o'clock midnight. I knew the boys at home party. For me, I wanted to be a United States Marine. I wanted to be a United States Marine. Nothing was going to stop me from doing that. Nothing. Not even swim call. Everybody know what swim call is? Swim qualification. And a lot of people my color don't pass that, or it's hard for them to pass it. I wasn't the greatest swimmer, but I wanted to be a United States Marine. So I passed that swim part. I passed every other PT that we had. I finished the last 3-mile run in 21 minutes and 7 seconds. After not being able to complete a half a mile without stopping and quitting. Why? Because I wanted to be a United States Marine. So on February 23rd, 1996, Paris Island, Parade Day, in front of my family and friends, I became a United States Marine. And my life was forever changed by becoming a United States Marine. My life was forever changed. So I got out of the Marine Corps 5 years later. We'll fast forward just a little bit. I got out of the Marine Corps 5 years later. I did 5 years enlisted. I came out and got a civilian job. I was a little worried, a little scared. Because every time there's a transition in your life, it's an account to be feared. It's all right to be scared, but you got to face your fear. So that when I got out, I faced my fear. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life. After Marine Corps, I wasn't sure. So I got out and I applied the skills that the Marine Corps gave me. I applied the mindset that the Marine Corps gave me. And I landed a job at CSX Transportation, the railroad. Anybody know what that is? I currently work at the railroad. I've been there for 14 years now. And over the last 4 years, something hadn't been sitting right with me. Something hadn't been sitting right with me. I started thinking about my Marine Corps days, challenging myself. I asked myself, was I still challenging myself? In life, you always have to remember to challenge yourself. Go beyond what you think you can do. And when you show yourself what you think you can do, other people will see that. And they'll be inspired by your greatness. They'll be inspired by your leadership. And it'll take you places. So I got that unsettling feeling in my stomach that I was supposed to be doing something bigger than what I was doing. So for the last probably 10 to 15 years, I've been studying greatness. I've been studying greatness. And I've been studying what makes the great great. What makes the great great? I told y'all earlier, I think everyone in this room has greatness in it. You only have to discover your own greatness. You can do whatever you want in this